Hello friends, before we head out on today's journey, I've got something for you. If you've ever wanted to feel more comfortable outside, whether you're hiking the new trail, identifying birds by sound, or simply reconnecting with nature in a deeper way, I've created something just for you. My online classes at the Nature Wanderer are designed to take you from curious to confident, step by step. I'm not going to overwhelm you, just give you practical skills you can actually use out there in the wild. From beginner birding to navigation to seasonal outdoor safety, these are the skills that turn a walk in the woods into something unforgettable. You can check them out anytime at thenaturewanderer.com/course. Just check the show notes for a link to the courses and build that confidence for when you're outdoors. Now let's get back outside. Hello friends, and welcome to the Nature Wanderer podcast. I'm your host Paul, and this is a place where we slow down, step outside the noise, and reconnect with the natural world. One story, one sound, and one discovery at a time. So wherever you are, take a step outside, or at least in your mind, and let's wander through the natural world. And today, I am actually wandering, looking for something that I usually try to avoid when I'm wandering. I try to avoid walking through those shiny things we see in the morning, stretching from branch to branch. And I don't know how many times along a trail my wife always makes me take the lead because I'm taller than her, and I'll catch all the spider webs. Yeah, so that she doesn't have to walk through them. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Not just walking through spider webs, we're going to talk about spider webs in general. Spider webs, they appear everywhere. At least once the light hits them correctly, you can see them everywhere. Webs are tiny, natural masterpieces. They're silk as one of nature's miracle materials. That's what they're made of. Every web tells a story about the spider that built it. So I don't know if you've ever walked through the woods early in the morning and suddenly noticed them everywhere. Yeah, those tiny galaxies which are stretched between the branches. So I'd like to start out talking about why spiders build webs. Well, a lot of people think that the spiders make them for their home, but that's not necessarily true. No, they're not really their homes. They function as, well, many things. First of all, hunting traps. Yeah, way to trap their prey. They also act as alarm systems to warn them when other animals are, predators especially, when they are coming after them. They can be nurseries at times. Sometimes the spiders make webs as safety lines to get from one place to another. And, surprisingly, they're also used for communication. And we'll talk a little bit about each one of these as we wander further into this episode. So spiders do create silk. That's what the web is made of. And where they come from, where the silk comes from, it actually comes from special glands which are inside the spider's abdomen. That produces the silk proteins, and we call these silk proteins spidroins. Inside the glands, these proteins are stored as a concentrated liquid solution, almost like a thick syrup. So it is pretty thick. The liquid then travels through a spinning duct. So the spider needs the silk. When they need it, muscles force this liquid protein through a long, narrow duct. As it travels, several things happen. First of all, water is removed. The pH balance changes in it. And the proteins are stretched and aligned. All of these changes cause the proteins to lock together into strong fibers. And then, at the end of the abdomen, are tiny structures called spinnerets. The silk exits through microscopic openings and it solidifies almost instantly into a thread. Now, most spiders actually have several types of silk glands, not just one, that can produce silk for, well, web frames, which is strong structural silk. They produce silk for sticky capture spirals, egg sacs, safety drag lines, wrapping prey, ballooning. That's when young spiders ride in the wind. Yeah, so that's the different types of silk that they produce. An orb weaving spider may actually use several different kinds of silk in a single web. So that web may contain more than one type of silk. Now, spider silk, it's an amazing thing. It really is. It's actually stronger than steel of the same weight. So if you combined spider silk to the same weight as a piece of steel, it would hold up stronger than that piece of steel. That's how strong spider silk is. It's so strong, but it's also elastic. It's actually more elastic, stretchable than nylon. So you've got this really strong material which can stretch too. Steel can't do that, at least not when it's in a solid form. And the amazing thing about it too, it's lightweight and biodegradable. Yes, it breaks down into the environment. Scientists, they've spent decades trying to duplicate it. They want to try to make their own spider silk, hopefully using it for medical sutures, body armor, tissue engineering. Yeah, they've been trying to produce it for many, many decades, but they haven't been. And a fun fact, a spider doesn't spin the silk the way we spin yarn. The silk, as I said, starts as a liquid inside the spider, and it becomes a solid fiber only as it passes through the spider's spinning system. And another fun fact about the silk, it can be sticky or non-sticky. So they actually can control that as well. Now, after the spider produces this silk, through the spinnerets, it makes this silk, it makes the webs then. Well, not always. Sometimes they're using it for other purposes I didn't mention, but if they are making a web, how do they do that? Now, I don't know if you've ever seen one of the videos of a spider actually creating a web. It's an amazing thing. They do have videos, and I'll try to leave a link in the show notes to one of the videos showing a fast speed of a spider creating a web. But the spider has a very particular process in making a web. First of all, they release the silk into the wind. And like I said, it's very lightweight, so the wind catches it. And the silk will catch onto another surface. Now, once it's bridged between two surfaces, then they start to reinforce it. They strengthen that first line. Once they have that first line in place, it's nice and strong, then they start putting outer support structures throughout the web, forming the basic spokes. So the spokes are added kind of like a bicycle wheel. After they make the spokes and they're all attached nice and tight, ready to go, then they do a temporary spiral. They start and they go around and around and they create this spiral. Then they create a sticky capture spiral. after that. So the first one is just creating the structure of the web. And then they go around another time, creating a sticky capture spiral. Now many orb weavers, the ones that build the spider webs that we're so used to, the common looking round spider web, those are the orb weavers that build those. Most of them, they build at night time. So while we're sleeping, that's when they're building them. They rarely build them during the day. Some do, but most of them built at night. And some will actually rebuild the webs every single day. So they use it one day, rebuild it. And many spiders actually eat the old webs to recycle the proteins. Like I said, it's biodegradable. It's not going to harm the spider if they eat it. So they will actually eat the web, which is high in protein, and that way it gives them the strength to make more webs. So it's kind of like these guys are tiny silk recycling engineers. So let's talk about the different types of spider webs. Besides the common one that we're always so used to seeing, there's several different types of webs. Now, the first one, like I was mentioning, is the orb web. The characteristics are that classic spiral web design. They're built by orb weavers, as we call them. They usually have the sticky spiral threads, and the spider often waits in the center of these webs for the prey to get stuck in it. So an insect flies by, gets stuck in this web with that sticky spiral threads going around, and then the spider just sits there and waits. Once it's stuck, he goes over and gets it. Dinner! Now, there is an incredible geometric precision to these orb webs. They're excellent for catching flying insects. Usually I notice them when the dew is on them. Otherwise, they're often hard to spot. I don't know how many times I've actually walked into a web before I knew it was there, and I've got this web stuck all over me. So it's really difficult to see them, which is the purpose. Then the insects don't see them, and they fly right into them. Now, the second type of web is what we call a funnel web. Now, these are the ones we usually see down on the ground and in the lawn and the vegetation and the grasses. They look like a little tunnel. That's the funnel web. It's a flat sheet which leads into the tunnel where the spider retreats to. Yeah, he hides inside the funnel opening, waiting for the prey to get stuck in that flat sheet outside the funnel. Then they'll go out and get their food. So this is more of an ambush hunting strategy. Instead of just sitting like the orb weavers in the middle of the web, these guys are hiding until something gets stuck in the web, and then they come out of that tunnel. It's actually advantageous to do it this way, because then they don't have to worry about being spotted by predators like birds. The orb weavers, they usually have to worry about birds spotting them because they're just sitting in the open in the middle of their web. Very common, these funnel webs. They're very common in grasses and low vegetation. So get out in the morning, especially if you keep your grass mowed long. Then you can actually see when the dew is on there, you'll see all these little funnel webs out there in your lawn. And don't worry, they're harmless to you. These funnel webs, they're actually designed for speed and surprise. Think of it as a silk-lined ambush cave, if you want. The third type of web I want to talk about are what we call tangle webs, or what most people call cobwebs. So a tangle web, they're irregular, messy-looking structure. There's no real structure to them. I mean, the funnel is a nice, straight tunnel. The orb webs, they have a nice geometric shape to them. But these cobwebs, tangle webs, no structure at all. Yeah, they're very messy looking. They're actually a three-dimensional web too. They're not flat. They usually take on a lot of different angles in them, covering more territory. They usually have trip lines which help trap the prey. And even though they are messy, they're not primitive. They do work quite well at catching the prey. Now, the fourth type of web that I would like to talk about are what we call sheet webs. These are horizontal silk platforms. You usually find them in meadows and shrubs, so if your lawn is nicely mowed, groomed, you may see these sheet webs in the dew early in the morning, covering your lawn. I've gone to some nature centers where an entire field is just covered with sheet webs and the tunnel webs. So it's amazing to see them. It's actually a beautiful sight. It's a horizontal silk platform, and up above it there are threads that knock the insects downward. So they build this platform down below, and then they build threads up above. And that way, just having a few threads here and there, it's harder to spot them. But an insect flying by will knock into it, and it falls down into the web. So those are the four main types of webs that spiders build. So you have the orb, which is what we're used to seeing, and you have the funnel webs, which are the ones where the spider hides inside the little tunnel. You have the tangle webs, what most people know as cobwebs, and then you have the sheet webs. Those are the four main ones, but there are other types of webs out there, but they're a little bit unusual. And some of the unusual web hunters, first of all, the bolas spider. Okay, the bolas spider is what I like to call the spider who has a fishing pole. I know it sounds weird, but yes, that's exactly what it is. When most people think of spiders, they're always picturing this web stretched between branches, waiting for insects to fly into it. Well, a bolas spider has a different idea than that. Rather than building a web, the bolas spider creates a single strand of silk with a sticky droplet at the end of it. This setup kind of resembles a traditional South American hunting weapon called a bolos. The bolas, which is where the spider gets its name from, is a rope with a weighted ball attached. Now at night, the female spider hangs from a branch and swings this sticky lure through the air. But that's not the clever part. You see, most species of bolas spiders produce chemicals that mimic the sex pheromones of female moths. So the pheromones are what attract the males. The male moth detects the scent and believes that they found a potential mate, and they fly towards the source, only to discover that they've been tricked. Now, as the moth approaches, the spider swings that silky sac and it smacks the insect right out of the air. So imagine fishing with a lure that smells exactly like what your target is searching for. That's essentially what the bolas spider is doing. Instead of building an elaborate web and waiting, it uses chemistry, patience, and a little tiny sticky yo-yo to smack its prey in the head. Now, another interesting spider web is what we call the net casting spiders. It's a group of spiders that, well, basically act like nature's tiny gladiators. Yeah. So if the bolas spider are fishermen, net casting spiders are hunters carrying a handheld net. So during the day, these spiders remain motionless. They're camouflaged against bark or leaves. But at night, that's when they become active. And they're very active predators. Rather than spinning that web between branches, a net casting spider constructs a small rectangular silk net and holds it between its front legs. The silk in this net is exceptionally stretchy and sticky, and the spider hangs upside down over a trail where insects commonly travel, and it waits. When an insect walks beneath or sometimes flies close by, the spider lunges forward and throws the net over its prey. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, the movement actually happens so quickly that it can be difficult to see with the naked eye. Once the insect is entangled, the spider wraps it in the additional silk and it begins feeding on it. Researchers have found that some net casting spiders can even detect the footprints of approaching insects through vibrations in the ground. So this is a hunting strategy that combines patience, excellent sensory perception, and impressive precision. So instead of building a trap and waiting for prey to come to it, the spider carries the trap in its hands. The last type of spider that I want to talk about with a very unique type of web is the trapdoor spiders. Trapdoor spiders take an entirely different approach than the other spiders. So unlike the web building spiders, trapdoor spiders spend most of their lives underground. They actually dig silk-lined burrows in the soil, often several inches deep, and the silk reinforces the tunnel walls and helps prevent collapse of the dirt. Kind of like putting rebar in concrete, it reinforces it from crumbling. Now the spider then creates a hinged door at the entrance using soil, vegetation, and silk to hold it together. And don't try looking for these because from above the door is nearly invisible. It's close to impossible to see it. Now the spider actually just waits inside the entrance, often with its front legs touching the strands of silk which are radiating outward from the burrow. And these silk strands act like tripwires. When an insect walks across them, vibrations travel down and they alert the spider. In an instant, that trapdoor bursts open. The spider lunges out, grabs the prey, and disappears back underground, often in less than a second. I know you're thinking that it was just a little trapdoor that the spider that waits and the insect steps on and it collapses in. No, it actually works the other way around, where the trapdoor opens out. Spider waits, detects an insect, flips the trapdoor open, grabs its prey. Now what's interesting is that the trapdoor spiders use relatively little silk compared to web building spiders. They aren't constructing these large aerial webs every day. Instead, they use silk strategically, basically as structural support for their burrow and as sensitive vibration detecting system. So for them, silk isn't primarily a trap, it's more part of an early warning system for them to let them know when prey is near. So one of the most fascinating things about spider silk is that different spiders use it completely different ways. Orb weaver uses silk to build a giant aerial net. Bolas spider uses silk as a lure. A net casting spider uses silk as a handheld weapon. Trapdoor spider uses silk as a hidden alarm system. The material is all the same, but the strategy entirely different. It's kind of like giving a rope to 4 different people and watching one build a bridge, another make a fishing line, the third weaving a net, and the fourth create a security system. You know, it's just same thing used in different ways. And that's the thing about nature. I mean, it always amazes me how nature can take one remarkable material like silk and evolve it into countless ways to use it. And that diversity of solutions is one of the reasons spiders have become one of the most successful predators on Earth. So the next time you see one of those round orb spider webs, remember, there's so many more different types out there. Now, I mentioned earlier about how spiders can use webs as communication systems, so I want to dig a little bit deeper into that. Yeah, it's kind of like they're extensions of the spider's nervous system. Spiders can use their webs to detect the size of their prey, struggling patterns, in other words, how much the animal is struggling, which often tells how big it is too. It can detect wind movement, so they know how successful they might be where they are. Also, they use it to detect potential mates. Yeah, they know when it's another spider, possibly a mate, on their web. And they also use it to detect dangerous intruders. So the spider web, I don't know, it's kind of like an external nervous system for them. They use it to communicate, to get data in. And yes, I know. Probably when you saw the title of this episode, you thought, oh, I hate spiders. I'm not listening to this one. Well, I'm glad you're here listening to it. Because I want to break some of these spider myths and misunderstandings. Yeah, there's so many myths about spiders which give them a bad reputation. I mean, a lot of people think all spiders spin webs. Hopefully you understand now that not all spiders spin webs, and they use their webs for different purposes. A lot of people think webs are dirty things because we're so used to seeing the cobwebs in our house. Yeah, well, usually when you see the cobwebs, I mean, I talked about the tangle webs, and they're often called cobwebs, but the tangle webs, they're usually not very noticeable until they're not used anymore. Yeah, after they're abandoned by the spider, then they start collecting dust on them, and they become more visible. Cobwebs. Yeah, that's what we start to see. So that's why we think cobwebs, or webs in general, are dirty things. Yeah, the cobweb, after it's been sitting there a while, remember, they're sticky. They're collecting that dust and it sticks to it. Those are dirty. But a brand new spider web? No, not dirty at all. We often think spiders are aggressive. Hey, they're small. Yeah, they're aggressive maybe towards an insect that is their dinner, but not towards us. And another thing that I've heard from people is they think spider silk is weak because when you walk through it, it just breaks so easily. But remember how thin it is. They are very strong, stronger than steel. It's just, if you took a piece of steel and made it as thin as a spider web, guess what? It's going to break easier than a spider web. Yeah, so the spider silk is very strong. Now, there are some spiders, I just said, that a lot of people think that all spiders spin webs. There are some spiders that don't spin webs at all. They hunt completely without webs. Some examples are, which are some of the spiders you probably see around your house quite often. The wolf spiders, yeah, those big guys that look kind of scary when you see them up close. And the jumping spiders. Yeah, everyone doesn't like the jumping spiders because as soon as you try to flick them away from you, yeah, they jump away. So, or sometimes they jump on you. Yeah, so those two spiders, those are spiders that hunt without webs. And before you start going around your house and taking down, or dusting down, I should say, all the spider webs that you see, even if they're not bothering you or they're not in one of the living portions of your house, you know, remember, they do have an ecological importance. I mean, first of all, they're natural insect control. Yeah, those nasty insects like mosquitoes and such that you don't want around, hey, thank the spiders for keeping that population under control. Yeah, the webs will actually catch them. They're food for the different spiders. Another ecological importance of a spider web is that they are a food source for birds and wasps. Sometimes, as a matter of fact, birds will use the silk from a web in their nests to help strengthen and support their nests. Spider abundance actually indicates a healthy ecosystem. If you don't have many spiders in an ecosystem, it means it's not a healthy ecosystem. A meadow without spider webs is quieter than it should be. So tomorrow morning, before the sun burns the dew away, step outside and look carefully between the grasses or the fence posts, the tree branches. You actually might discover that the world is stitched together with silk. So I've got a challenge for you this week. I'd like you to get outdoors, try to find 3 different types of webs. Photograph the dew-covered webs if you can. Post them on my Facebook page or do a hashtag Nature Wanderer Spiders or Webs, and hopefully I can see your pictures. But yeah, try to post them on the announcement for this episode. Observe webs without disturbing them though. Okay, don't go up and disturb those webs. I've seen people take a black piece of paper and stick the web to it to get their picture. No, that's someone's livelihood there. That's how they catch their food. I'd like to thank you for wandering with me today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow or subscribe so you don't miss our next journey. And if you know someone who could use a little more nature in their life, share the podcast with them. Don't forget to visit the show notes for additional information about the Nature Wanderer and this episode. Until next time, get outside when you can, stay curious, and keep exploring the nature around you. Hello, friends. I hope you're out wandering through nature, exploring the natural world around you. Do you enjoy writing about your wanderings? Nature journaling is an awesome, fun way to remember all the adventures you have taken and how you felt during those journeys. If you're looking for some beautiful journals to keep track of all your wanderings, I have several available on Amazon, including some guided journals for children. Start your journey in journaling by clicking on the link in the show notes. Keep exploring the nature around you and keep journaling all your wanderings. Hey there, fellow nature wanderers. If you're like me, you love spending time outdoors, breathing in that fresh air and connecting with the natural world. But at home, have you ever thought about what's in the products you use every single day? That's why I'm excited to share Apple Valley Natural Soap with you. Their handcrafted all-natural soaps are made with organic ingredients, essential oils, and no harsh chemicals. Awesome! So they're not only great for your skin, but they're safe for the planet. And they don't just stop at soap. Apple Valley Natural Soap also carries a full line of natural skincare products, including shampoos, body butters, facial bars, and more. All designed to nourish your skin without synthetic ingredients. You can't beat that. That's just awesome. Whether you're hiking in the woods or just winding down after a long day, their products bring a little bit of nature right into your home. And the best part? By supporting Apple Valley Natural Soap through the Nature Wanderer, you're also supporting this podcast. Just head to the show notes and click on the link for Apple Valley Natural Soap. So go ahead, treat yourself and the environment to something better. Your skin and Mother Nature will thank you. Hello, friends. Do you love tea and natural wellness products as much as I do? I've partnered with Positively Tea and Positively Botanicals, and I can honestly say I drink their organic loose leaf tea almost every day, and I love it. From organic teas to natural remedies, they offer high-quality products that support a healthy, mindful lifestyle. When you shop through my affiliate link, you not only discover amazing products for yourself, but you also help support the podcast. Visit the link in the show notes to explore their selections today. And for you coffee lovers, they have you covered as well. Treat yourself, support the show, and keep connecting with the natural world.